The whole thing starts with a severely disabled, cerebral palsy child who wanted to see Mary Poppins.
Though quite intent in his pursuit, he has a merry tune to toot.
Mary Poppins was hitting the theaters around the country, and there were standing lines around the blocks. Anna Mae's mother was saying from her hospital bed, Anna Mae wants to go to that movie, and there's no way we can stand in a line around the block in December, and if we could get in, there's nowhere to put her. That's the way it started. That's why I wrote to Walt Disney. Simple goal. I'm a young pastor, rather simple young pastor. I didn't know what I was getting into. Well, it pulled me in not just because it was Anna Mae. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of people in Lancaster who couldn't go see Mary Poppins.
It started out as a movie program. I was looking for whatever was out there, and so were a lot of other mothers. There was nothing back in the early 60s and 70s except Easter seals.
That moved then to a parent's day off when we did care services for people who wanted to do some things they needed to do.
You think about it, starting from that need to provide social interactions based on Anna Mae's need to get to see a movie. So it's quite a story.
When I think about the kinds of things that were happening in 1965 for people with physical disabilities, they weren't a part of society in any equal way. The first program was New Horizons, and it was really for all ages, but it was primarily the group that started were younger folks.
The day program was very essential then for him to go and interact with his peers.
Yeah.
I liked the program. Very important.
I was in the program like in the early 70s.
That grew into what became the Choices program. And the difference with Choices was it really expanded and had folks of all ages. This became much more goal-oriented, so it became more structured.
I participate in the painting classes. I like the outings that we go on.
And then Choices led to adult enrichment.
That helped us become leaders in adult services because so many of the other organizations only knew about kids' services.
Without this program, there would be 30+ people who would not be as happy.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1970, our little movie program decided to take a giant step forward, and that was to join United Cerebral Palsy, a national organization that had a great reputation in servicing people with disabilities, particularly in rural areas.
That began to give us some credibility. This was a professional person with United Cerebral Palsy, Elks Home Service Program. Then came the process of money raising.
UDS was always very blessed to have a lot of community support and a lot of help.
In 1971, Park City opened.
The campaign director for our first campaign, he was the brains behind Park City. He said, well, we need a gift wrapping concession here. Can you people do it? Oh yeah, we can, and it turned very profitable for us.
Since the beginning of United Cerebral Palsy, they had a card table out at Park City wrapping gifts.
We wrapped about 5,000 gifts last year. It's exciting, it really is. It's a wonderful feeling, and it makes my Christmas.
The Hilltop program was to help people with disabilities of all ages to be able to learn independent living skills, such as cooking and cleaning and financial management, so they could live on their own.
The students we take are what we call the in-betweeners. They're the kids that fall through the cracks when they get out of school because they often don't qualify for other services. This often happens because they have invisible disabilities like ADD, learning disabilities, mental health, or autistic spectrum disorders.
Lois and Nadine really showed that they cared about me more than a lot of other people in my life.
Jeffrey is a joy. He just blossomed when he was here.
I actually had a lot of fun with them.
Every dollar we donate actually goes to the kids in the school. And that's just a really great feeling, knowing that all of it is going to the program.
First community-based services that we got involved with was the attendant care program.
The attendant care program, to me, is priceless. Without it, I may be in a nursing home, I probably wouldn't be married, and I probably would not work full-time. It would not be a good situation.
The four things that people needed when I began at UCP were community supports, transportation, jobs, and housing. And those four things still continue. In those early 80s, people with disabilities were not very well respected.
We would find teenagers in nursing homes, and everyone else is 80, 90. The instinct was to keep them separate and keep them safe. And we've learned over the years that doesn't really help anybody. Act 150 took about 5 years of very strong advocacy to get it through the General Assembly, and it was signed in December of 1986. This organization was one of the first ones to be a provider of that new service.
Act 150 created monies that allowed people to start to be able to self-direct, be able to stay in their own home, because they had folks actually doing attendant care for them, which was just huge at the time, and brought them into a new world where they could start to be part of society.
President Bush's signing of the ADA has been called the most important civil rights legislation in the last 25 years.
The people look at us admiration and not at me like just occupying space.
We had the Americans with Disabilities Act. That was very helpful. It was a huge victory for advocacy and to get some teeth behind the push to have things become accessible.
UCP was right there as a vanguard for that.
The Employment Services Program started in 1991.
We focus on the person, so it's very individualized. Where one person might need one service, another person may not. And what we do is we take you through all aspects of job hunting.
My name is Michelle Sanchez. I work in retail. I do mostly office supplies and furniture, but I'm always all over the store.
We try to make sure that the type of job that the person is applying for is appropriate for their disability.
I'm back for you, actually.
What do you use to pedal your bike?
Chucky is awesome. He was aging out of the program that he was in, and so he came to us.
April really has been amazing. You know, she had come in, she looked at a lot of the needs that Chucky had.
We coordinate services for people with physical disabilities and also with autism. So we get them like home modifications, medical equipment, day programming, physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy.
I ended up here as a personal care attendant with a young man by the name of Titus Martin. Because of my dog visiting him, we came up with the idea of training a service dog for him. And we started New Life Assistance Dogs.
My service dog, Campbell, is an incredible tool. He helps me with many different things.
I think having an absolute beautiful dog by your side certainly draws people's attention in a very positive way. And then that starts an interaction and a conversation. And the person in the chair is no longer invisible as they once were.
Because our name back then was United Cerebral Palsy, they would think that the only people that we served were people that had the disability called cerebral palsy, when in fact, we always provided services to people regardless of the reason for their disability.
As we got involved in helping people live in the community, there were other disabilities that we were providing services for. And so at that point we said, well, at some point we need to change our name from United Cerebral Palsy to United Disability Services. One of our service coordinators came to me one day and said, the wheelchair program that is part of the Hershey Medical Center is going to be discontinued. We depend on that service to help repair wheelchairs for people. And so we bought the wheelchair program from Hershey Medical Center.
We formed the bean bags all around you, behind you, and that made your cushions an exact image of your shape. So your seat fits you and only you, right?
Yeah. This is probably the first wheelchair that fit me correctly all my life.
Throughout the years, you see people being able to do things that they weren't able to do because we have them sit in the proper position.
Yeah, I call it my new Cadillac.
They range from 8 months probably to, I think, 106 years old is the oldest we've done.
We came to UDS with an idea of challenger flag football.
It's a wonderful league where folks who normally wouldn't get a chance to play football get a chance to do that, and we make sure that everybody scores a touchdown every single game. And how great is that? We acquired ILS in 2008. We really wanted to buy a business that was senior focused. Folks with disabilities were living more normal lifespans. And so we needed to change our mission, and our mission now needed to include seniors.
Paul didn't want to go in a nursing home or anything, and I joined him in that wish.
As long as we can navigate that stair, we'll be living here. Beam me up, Scotty.
We were able to take that business, combine it with our own personal assistance service business, and create what I think was an even better enhanced service.
We aid them and help them, but we promote them being able to do what they are capable of doing and encourage that in teaching it and guiding them.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend UDS, but I would not recommend Susie because we want to keep her. We've had her for 15 years and we love her.
We do what they cannot do, and we go alongside them and help them with the things they can also do too.
And what do I give you?
A clean butt and a hard time.
That's right.
Kenny's getting bigger, and it's getting harder and harder to move him around in the house. So we thought we would modify the existing garage into a handicap accessible bedroom and bathroom for Kenny. We're going to be entering what used to be our garage. So we have a 5-foot turn radius so that Kenny never has to run into a wall or a door.
You know, for someone to stay in their home and receive the kinds of home and community-based services we provide, it costs between maybe $25,000 and $35,000 a year if they're getting a full complement of services.
No crash landings. Huh?
If someone is in a nursing home, it's about $80,000 to $85,000. So it's a huge savings. It's where people want to be, and so everybody wins.
The Resource Center was started in September of 2010.
We found out there were so many folks in the community that didn't know how to navigate the system, how to get services, how to get things funded, where to turn.
The neurologist told me that I have something called RSD. It prevents me from doing simple day-to-day tasks like dressing myself, various things in grooming, getting food out of the refrigerator. I'm not able to open the door.
He was looking forward to getting into his career and moving out of home and doing all of these things. And he was struck with this disability.
Nigel's dad called into the Resource Center. He was basically very overwhelmed. He's in a state of, what do I do now? And that's typical.
She spent over an hour with me on the telephone. That was the first time I realized that we weren't alone.
I'm really looking forward to the home modifications because I'd love to be able to go outside on my own without having to ask, can you open the door for me? But I'm also looking forward to the services that will help me with my career. So getting a job where I can work and keep the benefits that I have.
As long as you provide options, people feel better. Like I have a plan now. We're gonna make it.
It's a lifesaver. I have a future now.
Home medical equipment started in the fall of 2010.
Ted had a stroke 2 years ago. He was at the rehab in Hershey, came back and went to a retirement community for a little while. Then I decided to bring him home. We got the bed from them. We have the wheelchair, we have a ramp, and we have the lift.
Anybody can walk through our showroom and obtain anything they need for mobility needs. It gives them a better way of life. A delivery is scheduled, and the patient receives the chair with the assistance from the physical therapist and the ATP, and they don't leave that visit until they're completely satisfied with their equipment.
We've tried to grow the business at UDS and diversify it to where it's not just one big source of funding that's going to keep us alive.
We have 50 years of history because we've been able to be resilient and flexible and open-minded and roll with change. You know, being so heavily state funded, we've had to deal with a lot of change.
Numerous times I'll see a person in a wheelchair downtown Lancaster. They're out in the street going somewhere because they are now having an opportunity to live in the community.
People with disabilities and parents all, to me, are very courageous people. I mean, you talk about heroes, and I think those people are all heroes.
It's a good feeling to know that I was part of an organization who, through the ages, reached out to help people become fully engaged in the community.
I'm proud of it. I'm not quick to claim any claim for where it is today. It has simply grown through good leadership, and we thank God for that.
Every single day is a blessing, but having UDS on board with us is making it easier.
Just the resiliency of the human spirit is really what we see every day.
I've been able to live independently with their help that they've given me through the 50 years. And I'm looking forward to the next 50.
For most people, it's a lifelong struggle. And so I'm really happy to know that they're stable. They've been around for a long time, and that they'll be around for when I need them for this foreseeable future.
We are touching thousands of lives thanks to one person seeing this as an important mission and growing from one little girl.